Week 6 is in the books, and I have to tell you, it did not disappoint. First of all, before I get into all the games, I have to say, shockingly enough, this week was my best picks ever. I went 12 for 13. I killed it this week. And I'll let you know when I did horrible, and that was week 1 and week 2. Like, I was bad, horrible. In fact, on our pick'ems in our Football Sexy app, you can go see the leaderboard, the top hundreds there. And like after the second week, I was like at literally 99, barely made the top 100. And I was like, oh, I gotta get going. I gotta pay attention. So I started really like paying attention, and little by little, I started to creep up. And so we'll see where it puts me with 12 wins. And then hopefully tonight I have the Bills, I think. I might do a game change. But anyway, so let's talk about Sunday night first. Wow. The Cowboys got blown out. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They got blown out. 47-9, Cowboys versus the Lions on Jerry Jones' 82nd birthday. Not good. It was the worst loss in like 35 years. At halftime, it was like 27-6. It was horrifying if you were a Cowboy fan. Now, many of you know I am a fan of the game. Of course, I am a diehard Niner fan, but if you see my room and my podcast area, like you'll see nods to Dallas, to John Madden, Raiders. Like, I'm a fan of the game. Now, don't get it twisted. I root hard for my boys, but when I see a game like I saw last night for the Cowboys, I feel for the Cowboys. I have a lot of good friends that are Cowboy fans, and I'm like, dang. But I get it because we've all been there. As football fans, we have all been there. And as a fan, what do you do when you lose like this? I'm like, I am not watching ESPN tomorrow. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I don't need to relive it. I don't want to rewatch the game and try to figure out what we did wrong. Nope. I just need a minute. I just need a minute. And when you lose the Super Bowl in overtime, you need like weeks. But the good news for the Dallas Cowboy fans and the Cowboys is like they're only 3-3. Anything can happen. You never know. However, they do need to fix a lot of things. There's so much to talk about, but first of all, let's talk about Aiden Hutchinson, who went down, who ended up breaking his tibia. I don't care who you're a fan of. Like, we never like to see that as fans of the game. These players work so hard off season, during season to play the game. And when you see a season ending injury, you cannot help but feel bad for them. And I don't know about other people, but I don't ever want to win a game like that watching, and I'm not putting the win on that. I mean, they were clearly not doing good, but I'm just saying in general terms, like I never want to win a game because their top guy went down. Like I want to play you at your best, and I want to play at my best and see who comes out on top, if that makes sense. So to see Aiden go down was really tough. It reminded me, I'm probably going to show my age now, but it reminded me of when Joe Theismann went down, broke his leg on national TV. I believe it was a Monday night game. I remember that. The DeMar, Hamlin, like there's just certain things that you'll just always remember. And that was one of them. I can just feel it now, so we are hoping for the best. It is something that he can recover from. So that's great news. But I will say this, that aside, as a Dallas Cowboy and as a fan, when you are kicking our you-know-what, and after he goes down and in the fourth quarter, you start doing hook and laterals and trick plays and flea flickers and stuff, like I will remember that. I don't know how Dallas fans feel about that, but I was like, oh, damn, like they are coming for you. Like, not only are we going to win by 20, 30 points, but we're going to have like our tackle do a play and flea flickers, and it just the disrespect of it all. Like, what? Oh, so for the Dallas fans, like I know it's not a good morning. And then you don't want to hear, the last thing you want to hear is Stephen A. Smith. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know, after paying Dak, what are you going to do? I mean, Dak said it was a shocking loss, and Jerry Jones is saying, I think he said, I was shocked, I was disappointed. And I'm like, oh man, but what are you going to do about it, right? What's the solution? Is it Mike McCarthy? You can't get rid of Dak. I'm actually shocked I didn't see CeeDee Lamb on the sidelines talking smack yesterday. Um, but for the life of me, the one thing I will say, I am shocked that the Dallas Cowboys did not pick up Derrick Henry when they had a chance. That to me was a major fail. I just think Derrick Henry could have really, really helped that team and gave them a spark that they needed. Instead, they signed Zeke Elliott for $3 million for like a year. Why? He wasn't doing anything great over at the Patriots. Like, it's like a breakup. Like, when things are good and then you break up, you broke up for a reason, right? Why go back? J-Lo and Ben Affleck, just throwing that out there. I'm just saying, like, why go back? And why did they go back to Zeke Elliott? I mean, Derek came up, I think, after they signed Zeke, but I would have figured something out. Like, Jerry, like, write that check. Derek is like the CMC. I keep saying it, like, this is a team that has a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and with Derrick Henry. In fact, the reason I picked the Ravens over the Commanders yesterday was one reason: Derrick Henry. That's why I chose the Ravens over the Commanders. And the Commanders, we're going to talk about that. The Commanders are on fire. Let's talk about it. There's nothing like waking up in the morning at 6:30 in the morning and there's already a game on. Yes, these London games and these Germany games, it's like, you literally wake up to football. And I literally woke up to the Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bears took it 35-16. It was a blowout. Caleb seems to be getting better with each game. There was a lot of talk after the first couple of games of whether or not he was going to make it. Would he be a bust? He just wasn't playing that well. And should he have maybe sat behind a vet, and all of, the speculation that we do as fans, and just watching, someone who comes out so highly recommended out of college, is this going to be another bust? But Caleb seems to be doing a good job, and the stats are there to prove it. Yesterday he went from 23. He went 23 for 29 and 226 yards, 4 TDs, I think one interception. Yeah, one interception. So the Bears have something to be excited about. They're 4-2. But on the other side of the ball, you've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, 1-5, and you just paid your quarterback $275 million. Can't get rid of him. So the next one to go will probably be Doug Peterson and possibly the GM. Maybe both at the same time. Who knows? But be on the lookout for that. Actually, we posted a reel yesterday that said pre-breaking news, so that I don't have to be interrupted when I'm eating my breakfast or dinner, because I really do believe he will probably be the next to go. At 1-5, it would not shock me or probably anybody else. Now let's talk about the Battle of the Bay. The Battle of the Beltway, not the Battle of the Bay. Battle of the Beltway. And that was the Baltimore Ravens versus the Washington Commanders. That was the game of the week. You had Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson. And what a game that was. I actually took the Ravens. And the reason why I took the Ravens, by the way, I was 12-13. Did I say that for the picks? Okay. The reason why I took the Ravens yesterday was simple. One person, and that was Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is playing out of his mind right now. He reminds me of CMC. I said it several times this year. And I think that their Super Bowl run is going to be very much dependent on if Derrick keeps playing the way he's playing. Derrick had 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson had like a total of 323 yards. He had like 40 yards rushing. Those two combined, just the rushing is out of control. It's crazy. And how, as a defense, are you going to be prepared for Derrick Henry and Lamar? Whew. I mean, the Commanders at one point, I think they were 9 for 9 on fourth downs. So they're no scrubs, and they are going to be uh, contenders for. They already are. I mean, normally you're worried about the Eagles or Dallas, but right now you've got the Commanders like in first place. So this is going to be a game. I mean, this is going to be a division that is definitely to keep your eye on. And oh my goodness, like the Eagles. Why is Nick Sirianni talking to his own fans and not in a good way? I don't understand. The Eagles pull out the win, but when your head coach is like, chirping at your own fans, I still wonder how they're going to come out ahead in this season. I don't see it happening. I see the Commanders being able to take that division. But yeah, let's talk about another division, the NFC South. It is going down in the NFC South. It is literally going to be a battle, looks like, between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. Now, right now, the Saints don't have their quarterback, Derek Carr. He's out probably 3 to 4 weeks with an oblique injury. And the game yesterday probably missed their quarterback. But speaking of quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield is just doing his thing right now. You have to give it to Baker Mayfield. He went 24 for 36, 325 yards, 4 touchdowns, but I think he had 3 interceptions. Either way, he's putting up big numbers this season. And you have to give it to this guy. He came after Tom Brady. Who wants to come after Tom Brady? Like, nobody. But he has. And he's done a pretty darn good job, I have to say. I have to give it to him. And you guys know I always talk about an underdog. I love underdogs. And this is a guy who went to the Cleveland Browns, and they had big aspirations for the Cleveland Browns. Thought they were going to be a Super Bowl team. We had like 3 amazing wide receivers, Odell Beckham being one of them, and nothing happened. And then he ends up, I think, even on the Rams for like a year. And so he's bounced around, and now he's with the Bucks, and he's got them at 4-2. That's exciting for the Bucks. I'm happy for the guy. I mean, he's gone through heck. And even in college, by the way, they're still thinking about him. In college, the Longhorns beat Oklahoma, his alma mater, and a little bit of rivalry there. And they took Baker's jersey Saturday and planted it on the center logo and, put a flag there. And that's just what they do in college, I guess. But so they're still thinking about Baker over there. But listen, he's doing great things. The Saints need to find a way to win without Derek Carr to see if they can stay in the race with the NFC South. But right now, another team we need to talk about would be the Steelers. As a fan, when you go to your own stadium, you never want to see more fans than your fans. Like, I remember being in Santa Clara, and as a Niner fan, I remember seeing there was a ton of blue when we played Dallas. And you're like, oh, this not a good look. This is not a good look. And yesterday, I think the Raiders felt that. From the looks of it, I wasn't there, but there was sure a lot of yellow. So it looked like the terrible towels were out in force. And they ended up winning 32-13. Max Crosby's on the sideline, the Raiders shoving his coach. Not a good look. What's up with shoving the coaches, by the way? Like, Aaron Rodgers, kind of pushed off Robert Saleh when Robert wanted to hug his coach. And I remember Travis Kelce kind of doing a chest bump to Andy Reid last year. Not a good look. Like, if I'm a coach, don't touch me. Thank you. I'm just saying. If you're mad, go throw your helmet down. Throw your tablet down. But don't touch me. I'm just saying. But I guess the thing to watch over on the Raiders is Antonio Pierce. I think his job is safe this year because you can't really blame him for everything. You've got Aiden O'Connell and Minshew as your quarterback. they don't have a real defining quarterback. And I think you're going to see both quarterbacks go back and forth all season long for various reasons: injuries, not playing well, benched, whatever. So I don't know that I'd get rid of Antonio yet. I feel like there's other coaches in the hot seat before Antonio Pierce for sure. But that's just my take on that. But what are you going to do about Devontae, who has an injury? And I say, quote, injury, because is it really an injury, or is it this a legal way of not playing for the Raiders because I'm not happy and I want to be traded? I don't know. And if you're not going to make it to the Super Bowl or playoffs this year, do you just get rid of Devontae now and try to get as much as you can for him? A lot of people could use Devontae right now. A lot of people talking about the Bills. A lot of people talking about the Steelers. I don't know. That's something that you want to keep your eye on as well. All right, let's talk about Thursday night's game. It was the 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. And it was a divisional rivalry. The Niners have had a tough go of it in these last 5 games. Was this a must-win for the Niners? Technically, no. Emotionally, yes, I would say it was. 2 horrible losses to the Rams and the Cardinals, both divisional games. Both had leads, lost the lead in the second half, which has been an ongoing thing for the Niners. So do I feel this was a must-win? Absolutely. For the spirit of the locker room, yes, it was a must-win. And to do it in Seattle was a big win for the 49ers. The final score, what was it? I think 36-24. Couldn't remember. Thursday seems like a lifetime ago. The running backs stepping in for Christian McCaffrey have been doing an amazing job. Mason has been going over 100 yards almost every game. You had Garundo doing 99 yards last Thursday. Mason had 73 yards. So the running back position is holding on without the top running back in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey, who we are still uncertain of when he will be back. Hopefully, if they make it to the playoffs, hopefully he will be back by then. But then how good will he be able to play after such a horrendous injury? We don't know. But what we do know is that Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle are obviously great, great friends and doing a double leap into the stands to kiss their wives, Claire Kittle and Christian Juszczyk. Went viral. Was a really cool moment, I think, to see. George Kittle had 2 touchdowns. Even Kyle got a touchdown. I think his longest ever, 6 yards. So the Niners pull out the W. And, it's going to be a battle, I think, for the NFC West between the Seattle Seahawks and the Niners. Seattle has been doing a great job the last the last 5 weeks. Metcalf is a beast. But you have to wonder, can the Niners really be consistent? Brandon Ayuk and Brock Purdy, I think, are finally getting it together, finally starting to gel. Fred Warner's playing lights out. But it was just like all the chemistry. I was trying to explain it to my friend. Her name is actually Niner. Hope she doesn't mind me saying this. She's learning football. She is kind of like was asking me some questions about the Niners in particular. And I said, she's like, I'm hearing all these things. I said, I don't really know how to explain it other than to say, like, let's say, and she's a songwriter, right? So I'm like, let's say you have Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, and Celine Dion all on one stage. And you're like, yes, this is going to be amazing. They're going to do this amazing song together. And then they start the song and it sounds horrible. Like, you've got 4 goats on the stage and they sound horrible. Mariah, Celine, Whitney, Aretha. And you're like, what just happened? That's kind of like how it has been with the Niners. You're like, I don't understand. What is happening? We have the GOATs. We've got like Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Trent Williams, and now Brock Purdy. And we're losing. It's like, what? I don't know. that's just like the only way I could try to explain it to somebody of like, when you have these great players sometimes and you're not pulling wins, it's hard to explain. And you have to try to figure out, why are we not winning? Well, hopefully they've got it together, and hopefully and you know what? I say chemistry. I think sometimes you can have these great players all around, but that's why we love the game, right? You've got great players, but then what about the coaching? What about the calls? What about the schemes? And then, what about the off season? And what about, emotions behind the season that we probably don't even see? And are these players getting along? And there's all these things that go on to winning or losing games. And then it's like, okay, you could have all that one game, but then you could totally have it completely different the next game. So you've got, 16, 17 games to figure it out and to try and be consistent. And the teams that have figured out how to do that right now are the Kansas City Chiefs, still have not lost a game. Minnesota Vikings still have not lost a game. They are undefeated. So it's going to be a great week 7. I am here for it, and I'm definitely excited to watch tonight's game. And as always, keep it sexy.
I can walk that walk, I can talk that talk. Give me minds off top, check the clock.